Hi guys, welcome to COSC100 tutorial number 7, exercise number 3. Now in this exercise you're asked to construct a database schema. So what we mean by a database schema is a set of create table statements to build a database that manages a system, a library loans system. So we've given you this diagram here that displays a set of blocks, and each of these has a field name in it, and between each of these sets of blocks that represent the individual tables, we have these arcs drawn, or these arrows, and the arrows indicate relationships between the different tables. So for example, if we have a look at the first table up the top, we've got it's called the book table, and it consists of 3 fields. It has the book ID, the title, and the publisher name. Now the book ID has an is underlined, and that indicates that it's the primary key for this table. So that's just some of the symbology that we've used for this exercise. And then we have these arcs, these arrows. We can see we've got an arrow coming from the publisher name pointing down to the name field in the publisher table, which again consists of 3 fields, a name, address, and a phone number. Now your task is to construct a set of create table statements that you could use to implement this database. So your create table statements need to include appropriate references between each of these tables. So for example, going back to our book and publisher example, you should have a references statement or a foreign key statement that indicates that the publisher name from the book table references the name field in the publisher table. Now, I've gone through and completed this exercise for you. Here we have our set of table creates. So now if we look at our definitions here, you'll see that there are some tables that don't have any arrows going out of them. Now these are the tables that you'll have to create first. The reason for this is we can't create a table that references another table unless the table it references already exists. So for example, if we tried to create the book table before we created the publisher table, we'd have a problem because the publisher name references the publisher table. So if the publisher table doesn't exist, the database doesn't know anything about it, so it can't can't create the book table. So in my table definitions, I've actually started with the library branch table at the top. Now, if we go back to our diagram, we can see that the library branch table, down here second last from the bottom, doesn't have any arrows going out of it. So that means it doesn't reference any other tables. So we can create this one first. Now, other tables do reference it, so it's referenced by the book loans table and also the book copies table. So once we go to create these tables, the library branch table will already be in place. Then we can continue on and we can complete the borrower table. Again, it doesn't have any arrows coming out of it. You'll notice that I've gone through and selected appropriate field types. So the branch ID, for example, in the library branch table uses an integer, and I've said that it's not null, and it's also the primary key. There's no need to have the not null if you put the primary key on that. And I've used the alternate notation to indicate that the branch ID field is the primary key. So we can use this notation in place of the one that we've been working on in the lectures. And you can see that I've chosen some appropriate character lengths. These aren't critical. Yours might be a little bit different. They're up to your interpretation. But as long as we've chosen appropriate types for these, that's all we need to see. Similarly, we've done the same for the remaining tables. Once we get down to the book table, we need to start building some foreign key relationships. So the first 3 tables, library branch, borrower, and publisher, they don't have any references to other tables. Other tables reference them, but they have no arrows going out to other tables, so they don't have any foreign keys declared within them. But if we get down to the book table, you can see that immediately the book table references the publisher table. So we implement this relationship between the 2 tables using a foreign key. So our foreign key is on our publisher name field, and it represents the name field in the publisher table. So it's rather intuitive, and it's a good database design to make everything intuitive and flow nicely. If we move down to the book authors table, you can see again we have a single foreign key where the book ID So our book ID references the book ID table in the book field. If we move down to the book copies table, we can see that it has two arrows coming out to the library branch and also the book tables. So in this situation, we've added two foreign keys to our book copies table, pointing to the books table and the library branch table. And again, we've selected the appropriate fields in those tables. Some points to note here: we always reference a primary key in the reference table. So, for example, if we're referencing the branch, if the branch ID in the book copies table references the branch ID in the library branch table, this branch ID in our library branch table has to be unique for every record. Otherwise, we'll have a problem with our database. It won't be able to figure out what we're referencing, which particular record we're referencing. So we always reference a primary key. So it's important when building our tables that we select appropriate primary keys and we reference them accordingly. And we've continued on down into our book loans table that has three foreign keys, each representing the tables that it points to. So it points to the borrower table, the books table, and also the library branch table as well. So there's three foreign keys, and we just stack them all up in our comma-separated list of statements within our create table statements. Now, so when we run this, this SQL statement, I'm just going to select our tutorial. Oops, that's what we want. We're going to go to COSC100 tutorials. When we run our create table statement, you can see that it executes without any problems. And if we refresh our tables in our object browser over on the left here, you can see that all of these have appeared. So in this exercise, you don't need to construct, don't need to insert any data. You just need to get the order in which these are created, and all of the references are included in there. So that's all we have for exercise number 3, and following on from this, you're moving on to work on your assignment. So that's all we've got for this week, guys. Thanks for listening.